Hello DevOps friends, I'm Jochen, the Monospace Mentor. Welcome to my stream. I will continue where I left off on Tuesday. Still working on catching up our infrastructure code for our database clusters, where we lagged a little bit behind, or have been lagging a little bit behind. And yep, it's time to pay back that technical debt and get up to date again. Hello Exam Linux, how you doing? Good morning to you. Hello Indrak. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This reminds me that I probably should get my chat on the right screen. Give me just a second. And we'll fix that. Here we are. Let's pull you over here where I can see you. That's much better. All right, so let's get some order in here. Today, this is a much cooler stream than on Tuesday, where I had basically to abort because I was really worried about my CPU temperatures. My little office here is getting pretty warm at the moment because, yeah, it's hard to cool such a small space, especially if you have these heaters running that do some compute. And so I was really worried about seeing 80 degrees plus in my way bar, and so I aborted and took my PC apart and installed the new Noctua D15 cooler heavy-duty thing, and yeah, I'm happy to report that we are running at 52 degrees today. So that's definitely a difference. Hi, how you doing? Welcome to the stack. Good to see you. And yeah, that makes me much more relaxed and at ease, and being at ease makes for much more focused coding. And that's what I'm going to do today. I want to clean up a few things that has been pretty workaroundy. It did work. I guess that's the definition of a workaround. It still works, but it's not really clean. And so let's make this proper, shall we? I will even share with you my actual work environment. Usually I do use a VM, but for example, I don't have the SSH key for my VM user installed on our hosting infrastructure, so that would just have complicated things too much. And I'm pretty confident that we can work with my current actual work setup as well. Maybe I can increase the font size a little bit more if I still remember how to do that. Well, I don't have to remember it, do I? Yes, I do. There's no menu item in Ghosty, so let's try simply Control plus, no, Control equal, Control Shift equal, Control Shift plus. Nothing works. That's a shame. Wait. Nope. That's strange. Oh, your Synology fan has given up. Yeah, that's not good in the summer. And 1812 plus. I'm running a little Synology NAS, but that's been replaced by my big home server machine. In the meantime, the NAS that I'm running is a little 218 plus. Just 2 disks. But yeah, now I have the Dell, what is it? Dell Infinity workstation, a 5820 with 4 spinning Rust drives, and that has replaced the Synology NAS. I'm going to use the Synology NAS for PubMox, actually. Do I have the command for PubMox installed? Yes. Does that link actually work? It does. Interesting. I'm not really sure if I'm going to do this internship because I think it might end up to be a little bit more simplistic than I want it to be. I might simply end up installing Proxmox on our community server myself, just to get going so that our members can start using it instead of keeping postponing the internship. We'll see. Oh, the WAF, of course, needs to be adhered to. And fan doing weird noise probably means that it'll give up the ghost pretty soon anyway, so you're definitely right in wanting to replace it. So, you know what? Let me share my screen so you can see what I'm bumbling around here. So let me go into my dot files. Where's my ghosty configuration? Well, that is pretty bare bones. I don't change any key bindings. So let's find out. Oh, I can increase the font size without changing my configuration. Key bindings. Wait, what? There is no font. So that is really strange, right? That's with a leader key. Huh? Thanks, Emilings. Using Twitch chat and YouTube to see the stream because Twitch is not allowed in the office, but my phone is not corporate nor in the corporate Wi-Fi. I see. Well, you can always go to live.monospacementor.com where you get the stream and chat without any ads and stuff, and that might actually not be blocked by your firewall. Moo, hi, how you doing? Okay, so detailed reference documentation. Oh, okay. So I need a command. That's interesting. All right, here we go. Now let's find out how. Here we are. Increase font size. It's Control plus or Control equal. So why didn't it work then? That's my plus key. So Control plus does nothing. Oh, maybe is it Tmux that? I do not know what's going on here. So does Control comma open the configuration? Yes, it does. So it does respond to commands, but it does not respond. Oh, it works with equal sign. Let me know if the font size is okay for you. All right, so let me get this going. Why the change? It's simply that Ghosty works really, really well. It doesn't have a few of the glitches that I had with Westerm. And yeah, simply because it's really, really reliable and it does the job. Okay, so my work today is mostly around making sure that default settings for our database configuration are actually applied. At the moment, we have been doing a few workarounds to get this running, mostly because this new version of our database cookbooks, or versions, it's actually 3 chef cookbooks that we are running here, only apply to our 2 latest, few latest database clusters. And doing it by hand or doing it with workarounds didn't hurt too much, but if you want to roll this out to all of our database clusters, this is definitely going to hurt and probably cause issues. So we need to make sure that, well, automation is actually used to do these things instead of manual workarounds. That's why we have infrastructure as code in the first place. The issue that I don't actually remember what the issue with Vesterm was. It worked 98%, but there were a few minor things where I thought, okay, I'm just not going to deal with this at the moment and not wait for changes. Maybe it was something that was related to Wayland or something else. I just didn't want to deal with that, and those 2% were just annoying me enough that I said, okay, I'll simply switch to Ghosty. It doesn't cost me anything because I only use the base features of the terminal. Anyway, I use Tmux as my terminal multiplexer. That still works best compared to all the alternatives, at least for me. And so it doesn't really matter which terminal emulator I run. And since Ghosty doesn't give me any trouble, that's what I chose. And if Ghosty starts acting up somehow, then I might actually choose something new. It's as simple as that. Now, I haven't yet thought about how I'm going to structure this this change. It's nice to see everyone popping up in Owncast. I'm very happy about that. I wouldn't mind streaming only on Owncast if everyone went there. Hey, Baker Farm. It's good to see that Owncast is gaining adoption. At the moment, I'm actually multi-streaming to 3 platforms. Thankfully, I have the bandwidth to do so. I'm not using any stream multiplexers, such as Restream or something. I could set up an open source version of one if I needed one, but at the moment it's fine. I do have the 15 megabits that I need. But yeah, I wouldn't mind having only to stream to one platform. And actually, I'm just streaming to Twitch and YouTube for the reach. I'd be perfectly fine with Owncast alone. But yeah, you know how it is. Many people just use the bigger platforms. Now, that's the issue I just closed, and that led me to the realization, okay, there are too many manual or semi-manual workarounds in place that need to be replaced. This is related to this. It is not related to a milestone, though. That's the related issue, and that is assigned to a milestone here. Migrate to production 13 means moving all relevant database servers into the production 13 chef environment, and that's the goal here. I did move a standby database cluster there and realized, okay, there are a few nags that we need to iron out, and so I guess we keep adding issues to this, because to switch our production database that we're using as a canary here to production, that means we need to first get these changes in place. So I will create a blocking issue. Extend default settings in MySQL FreeStyle. That's our company specific but more generic database cookbook. Oh, okay, you're using Nginx to proxy to other platforms. Yeah, that's definitely also a possibility. I haven't researched that yet. There is a nice little application that does it. I'm not sure about its name, but yeah, of course, using Nginx as an RTMP proxy does work as well. And since we are heavy users of Nginx, I might actually do that if the need arises. Move attributes from various roles to this central location. So this is not only ready, it's now in progress. It's automatically assigned to the milestone. That's cool. It's also assigned to me. We'll call that an improvement. Let's create this issue. There we are. ENG 191. It's running from the same box Owncast is hosted on. Also, that does save the VOD for later. Oh, that's cool. I think I'm running Caddy in front of Owncast, but maybe Caddy can do the same. And yeah, using the machine that you're using Owncast for does make sense. One thing I also would like to do eventually is to run my own video conferencing software. I've picked Big Blue Button for that, and that's definitely also going to run on the same host as I'm using for Owncast, because yep, it's idling most of the time when I'm not doing a stream, and when I'm doing a stream, I'm not doing a video conference, probably. And so having a machine that is capable of real-time video that I'm already running makes perfect sense to also run the video conference over. Now, that's that. So I guess a good next step would be to... You're using Jitsi. How happy are you with Jitsi? And are you using a self-hosted version, or are you using just Jitsi.meet? Yeah, it's the same Java beast as it ever has been. So I'm not going to look under the hood there. I'll just run the installer and cross my fingers. I have considered Jitsi as well, especially since there is a hosted version that I might be able to use. But for some reason, I don't remember what it was that turned me off. Viewers on Twitch will have to endure an ad break soon. Viewers on live.monospacementor.com won't. Yeah, Biggerfarm says self-hosted, it's a no-brainer without the need for further extensions. I might want to have at least a recording feature. But I don't think I need much in terms of plugins or extensions. But that's exactly the reason why, for the time being, I'm still using Zoom, because, yeah, running my own video conferencing platform will consume a lot of time, starting with all the research that's necessary. And I just don't have the time. So, speaking of time, let's get going here. Let's do a git pull, just to be sure we have all the latest changes. We do, and let's create a new branch. I can simply go and copy the branch name from linear, and I just realized, okay, this has changed. It's now username -id. I think I didn't look closely enough. And I don't remember where I changed this setting. Oh, here, branch format, of course. Format, username -identifier. I should have picked username /identifier. Yeah, okay, that's much better. Which means that we'll create a new branch. Yeah, and we can get rid of the other one. Oh, there are more than one. I guess 190 can go as well. And 191. Okay. Nice. We need a new window for the cookbook that I'm going to work on. That's MySQL Freestyle. And let's do it in a test-driven way. So let's create the test first. Here we are. Here's our test framework configuration. We do already say replication enable true in this test, so that's good. Because now I can test that the MySQL settings that are necessary for replication get set correctly. So all I have to do is go into our tests, integration server, config spec, and I'm not sure if those are actually variables, but I hope they are. So, for example, I want to get MySQL bin, and that's supposed to be either on or it should have the path name, and in this case it's var log MySQL bin. Let's try and verify that. This is going to take a minute because it has to spin up the VM first and install MySQL and everything. And then it'll run the test suite with my new unit test there. And I'm actually not sure if the value is what I anticipated it to be. We can actually... Oh, I'll do it by trial and error. That's, I think, the quickest way in this case. I keep spilling water here. Turning into finite singularity. Yeah, so this is how the test suite for Chef, or Sync as its open source fork is named, works. It spins up a VM that runs all the cookbooks that you've pre-configured in your kitchen file. That's the file I showed you earlier. And it'll simply try and simulate a production machine. So it'll install MySQL, monitoring everything that we need on our servers, on our database servers. And then it'll run tests. And let's take another look at what these tests look like. In this case, I simply want to query the running MySQL database for its settings variables. So I've defined myself a few helper functions here that is called check MySQL variable. And I'll pass in the variable name and the expected value that is supposed to be returned. And the MySQL variable in turn simply queries the database. So you can see here it will show variables like variable name, and then it matches the output with the expected setting. And the nice thing is, the call for MySQL config value here is necessary because I might actually configure, say, the InnoDB log buffer size as 64M, but it'll return the value in bytes. So up here I have a short function that simply goes and converts kilobytes, megabytes, and gigabytes into bytes, so that we can actually compare the output with the expected result. And so each of these function calls here does actually create a unit test using the describe method here, and the Chef test framework called Test Kitchen will then execute each of these test cases. Once the installation has finished, I think we are already past installing MySQL. Now it's mostly monitoring systems. This is Prometheus stuff, and down here it's installing Netdata. I think we can actually drop Netdata in the near future, because we'll focus on running everything through Prometheus and Grafana. And so Netdata might not be required anymore, and we can take a little bit load off the machine and the network there. So all I have to do now is to wait for the installation to finish. It'll automatically then jump into the test suite, and then I'll see what the newly added unit test will return. It'll probably break because I've mistyped something or my expectations weren't met, and then we can adapt. Zabbix is cool too, Bigger Farm. I've always had half an eye on Zabbix. It's also quite a veteran by now, right? It's more than 20 years old. And yeah, if our infrastructure wasn't as vast as it is, I mean, it's up almost 500 Linux hosts. I'd probably be running something like that as well. Okay, so problem is, yeah, the query fails as I more or less expected. The problem is, though, it's not that it delivers a different result than I expected. It delivers no result. And that's a bit of a pity, because that means I might not be able to build a unit test for this specific setting at all. You know what? I'm going to log into the test VM. And let's try out what even is there. So we'll just look at, is this, what else is there with bin? Yeah, there is no variable that has a path name. That's a shame. I can only see that log bin is off. Oh, that's why. Yeah, of course. Makes sense. We are doing test-driven development. The test breaks because it's not set up correctly yet. So I guess I could start by testing log bin. That should be on in our future setup. Log bin should be on. Now it's off, so this test will also break. And then we'll add the other test later. So it's log underscore bin, and that should be on. That's okay. Maybe there is going to be a variable MySQL bin later, or maybe even log bin will actually not be on, but have the actual path name, because yeah, that's a bit ambiguous in MySQL. So yeah. Mind Explosion joining us over on YouTube. Hello, hello, hello. Okay, log bin is supposed to be on. Let's put this to the test. It's of course going to break, but with a more useful error case, because yeah, now it says it's expected to say logbin tab on, and it does say logbin tab off. Of course, that does not match. Nice. So I guess this is something that we can start fixing now. And we are going to fix this simply by setting the right node attributes. I don't even have to code anything for this, because the underlying cookbook, which is called MySQLX, will actually set up replication if we provide it with the right attributes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into our default attributes of this cookbook. And here we already say replication, and the default for replication enable is false, but that's only the default setting. If externally we set this to true, we can actually query this by say, okay, we'll need MySQLX. No, it's MySQL freestyle in this case. MySQL-freestyle replication enable. Yep, that is correct. So boom. No, these are not useful. And then In this case, we're not talking about defaults anymore. I think in this case, it does actually make sense to use overrides. I'm very reluctant to use override attribute settings because those are then much harder to override. But I think in this case, if we want replication enabled, there's no way around setting the correct settings here, and we should actually make it hard to break them. And so in this case, I'm not going to use the default method to set this, but the override method. And in this case, we need to set MySQL bin to var log MySQL bin. Okay. Let me make sure that that's actually the case by going to our actual production machine. Wait, I wanted to change sessions and not go out completely. Grab MySQL bin. Let's see, mysql.conf, mysqld.cnf. Nope, that's not set here. It's not MySQL bin, is it? It's log bin. var log MySQL bin. Log bin. See, it's a good idea to verify. And let's see if our system can actually make these changes on the fly. Nope, we still have one failure. Log bin is still off. Interesting. Let's take a look at our configuration in our test machine. mysql.fd. Doesn't seem to have applied what we needed it to do. Oh yeah, we do set the InnoDB buffer pool size. Since this is only a test machine, of course the value is not really high, but I can show you what we do set in our test settings here. So for this test machine, we set the InnoDB buffer pool size to 1 gig and the log file size to 2 gigs. But those are arbitrary values that simply, in this case, we simply set values that differ from the default settings so that we can then write unit tests that check that not the default setting gets applied, but our custom setting here. That's the strategy for most of these settings. We simply set them differently to the default settings and make sure that we get what we want and not the default settings. And of course, in our production machines, InnoDB buffer pool size is much bigger, pretty much a significant part of the overall RAM that our machines have, and our big database clusters have 128 gigs of RAM, and so those might actually have 80 gigs of InnoDB buffer pool size or something like that. And question is, why does this not work as I expect it to? And I guess I'm doing the best thing to do is to check what we need to do. So let me take a look at the MySQLX attributes. Logbin is nil by default because, yeah, that's a very generic cookbook that doesn't expect you to run replication. And tunable. That's my mistake here. There is another nested namespace in the MySQLX attributes, and that's what I need to change. So where's my attributes default? Here we go. Setting this attribute does not have any effect. It's completely disregarded, so we need tunable in here. That's also why the converge run was so quick, because it didn't have to change anything in the configuration. So with that, we can run this again. TKC does a converge run, which means simply apply changes in the cookbook to the test machine, and TKV then runs the test suite to make sure our changes have the desired effect. Just Leo over on YouTube says, every time I encounter NeoVim user, it makes me want to code right away. I'm happy to be an inspiration, simply by using my favorite editor. Okay, did it do anything? Yeah, apparently it did, because everything is green now. That's nice. So logbin was expected to be on, and now it is on. That's good. So setting replication enable to true already now has effect on the configuration. That's good. And then we need to set a few more settings to get our replication data where it's supposed to be. Of course, we have our own file system layout that we use for our database clusters. For example, we separate logs in a different file system from the file system where the database stores its data in, so that something that generates heaps of logs won't be able to break our database table spaces by it running out of space, things like that. So we need to have stuff in specific directories that might actually differ from the default locations. So let me get here and set one or two more tunables, and in fact, let me find out what they are. Here, everywhere here. So MySQLX attributes. I need I think logbin is one. Yeah, relay log needs to be set as well to another path. And I think we're calling this MySQL relay, so it's pretty similar to what we had before. It's just relay log. And that's var log MySQL. Whoops, nope, that's not what I wanted. MySQL relay. And we should add a test for that as well, just to make sure that everything gets set correctly. Nope, wrong one. Config spec. Relay log. Still no idea if that will have the path name in there. We'll see. Let's simply go and test relay log 4 on. If that's not the case, if the actual output contains the path name, then we can adapt the test. Okay, then let's go back and run our converge and verify again. Once the VM is up and running, those changes usually take only a few seconds because most of the stuff stays untouched. Chef works in a way that's called idempotent, which means it doesn't change things that doesn't need to be changed. So configuration files that stay unchanged don't trigger application reloads and stuff either. And we did have failure. And here we can see it does not just say on, it does actually have the actual path name in there, which I find pretty useful. So we'll simply change this to the path that we did configure, var log MySQL relay. Thank you, Copilot. Let's go again. The converge run shouldn't change anything now, because we only changed the test. I'm really happy with how the new CPU cooler is performing. Instead of a red 80 degrees exclamation mark, I see 58 degrees. That is pretty cool in the literal sense. So, all tests successful. Relay log settings get applied. Well, it's not a wonder they get applied if I'm using the brute force override here. So question is there anything else that I need to check? Since I need to check our actual production configuration for a second, bear with me while I'm locking you out here. I just don't want to expose anything that might be sensitive. So give me just a second, I will be right back. Log bin. That's that. How about relay log? Log error should be set anyway, regardless of replication or not. So that's another default setting that we need to include, and that's actually it. We just need logbin and relay log. Cool. So logbin and relay log, and then we'll set error log in here, where we do set other defaults as well. Maybe even here. No, that's not what I wanted. It's a tunable, right? So let's set error log to this value. No. Let's isolate that setting up here. That setting should only be applied when we use replications. So why not integrate that into replication setup? I'm not sure if we can change that on the fly. Let's leave that in here for the time being. It's a little bit out of scope for my current task. So error log should be not MySQL relay. No. It should be error log. And we should also check for that. So let's go in our config spec here, defaults, and error log should be var log sql.log. Okay. What is it at the moment, actually? I was always curious, so... It just said log error, standard error. Okay. I guess we'll see. Is it not error log? Is it log error? That failed. We don't get anything back. Let's see what MySQL says. Okay. Maybe I should actually check the actual cookbook. So MySQLX attributes server. It's actually log error. Is there a mistake in our own settings? Let me quickly do a cross-check. No, it says log error. I just remembered it false. Okay. So we'll go and change it to log error. And then we need, of course, to change the test as well. So that is log error. And attributes default. No, in this case, it's actually MySQLX. This one needs to be log error. And let's see. Nice. Okay. We're getting there. actually, I think we got there. Is there anything else I need to set? We have default locations for our replication data. We have replication enabled in the first place, and the error log is well defined too. We have checks in place for all these settings, except for the bin log path. Is there a way to get that after all? If we go again and check for bin. Yeah, log bin base name has the path. So log bin gets switched to on, even though we set log bin to the path name. That's what I meant with it's a little bit ambiguous. If we set log bin to a path name, internally it'll set the variable log bin to on and the variable log bin base name to the actual name, and it'll automatically also assign the log bin index, because MySQL will simply add the suffix .index there. So by checking log bin base name, we can actually make sure that we don't have any typo in our path name here. That's something that I definitely want to have in there as well. So let's go to our config spec, where we check replication defaults. We have log bin should be on. Log bin base name should now actually be var log MySQL bin. That's another valuable test we can run here. So we now should get 38 successful tests. Speaking of tests, I cannot emphasize enough how useful it is to have an extensive test suite. Regardless if you're doing application development or if you are doing SRE or infrastructure as code, being able to rely on a good test suite, and by the way, we got our 38 successful tests, having such a test suite creates just so much peace of mind, because at the moment I'm on call overnight. At the moment, my colleague Moo in the chat has on-call duty until the late afternoon, and then it switches over, and at the moment it switches over to me for the night, and I use those times to make my production changes here, and knowing that my test suite did check the most essential things successfully makes me so much more confident that I won't destroy my whole evening or even my risk not getting any sleep by doing these changes late in the day. It's just a little bit more convenient for me to make these changes while I am on call, because I know if something goes sideways, if I make a typo or something, and that triggers an alert, that alert will go to me and not to anyone who is not involved in these changes, and will maybe even panic if they don't have the necessary context. So yeah, and of course, knowing that we have a good test suite makes rolling out these changes in general so much more easy in terms of not how easy they get deployed. They get deployed pretty much automatically via our CI system, but pulling the trigger is so much less stressful than it was in the early days, which was 10 to 15 years ago, when we did not have that reliable test suite, when every change we made came with the risk of taking production down and getting in hot water with our customers and all these things, and of course maybe losing a whole night of sleep trying to fix stuff that we've broken. And so yeah, if you don't have tests for your application code, for your infrastructure code, change that. Balthasar, welcome to the stack. Good to have you. All right, so here we have it, 38 successful checks. Replication is set up correctly, and that means we can lose a lot of settings that we do externally, because our cookbook here already takes care of all the default settings that we usually have to set. Oh, you made a new tune. Cool, cool, cool. Actually, I'm not sure if I... Did you do all the music for the game? Did I even... so, did I hear stuff that you did yet? Yeah, no, for... what's it called? The commando-like... Yeah, Eye of the Commando. Is that music completely by you? And of course, hey, where can I listen to your latest tune? Okay. Half of the Origin soundtrack. Cool, cool. Yeah, I haven't got to making music lately. In months, actually. But just last night, I got the itch and created myself an account on MuseScore, just so I can get some sheet music. So that gets me back to the piano. I don't mind intense music. I surprised myself by actually liking Bloody Wood. Okay. And now I'm sitting here a little bit like the cat that actually got the mouse. What is going to be the next step? I think we can create a merge request for this. Merge it. And roll it out. That should not make any changes because all these settings have already been in place via our manual workarounds. But once I remove those workarounds, stuff should still not change because it's now taken care of by the cookbook. And that was the goal all along. Thanks, Balthazar. That reminds me, I should probably look into how to set up Do Not Disturb mode in Mako, my notification daemon. Okay. What am I doing? So, that's that. Just a few changes to attributes files and the accompanying tests. Yeah, it's a simple commit. However, we first need to do some obligatory housekeeping. For example, we need to bump the version. We are changing... Are we changing behavior here? Is this a minor release or is it a patch release? Yeah, it's probably because of the sandboxing, especially Flatpak, I guess in this case, because I'm running the Flatpak version of Discord, and that probably does not pick up on me having screencasting on. But there's a cool thing Is there a way for me to show that to you without any risk? I guess it is. Yeah, even if I just start that. Let me see. Yeah. That is so cool. That's one password. And my window manager automatically prevents it from being screencast. In this case, it would have displayed the master password prompt only anyway, but yeah, so that's pretty rad. It might be the nichest new feature, yeah, but it's really, really useful for people like me. So, let me think. I always try to nail the Semver updates of our cookbooks. That's something that I'm really a stickler for. We are setting default attributes or even overrides. That's not a patch. If we talk about effect, they'll just do the right thing. So either rolling out this new release will either change nothing for our machines because we've done everything right already via external interventions, or it'll set things right where we failed to set things correctly via workarounds. So I think the only effects this change will have are going to be positive, if at all, or neutral in probably all the cases. But it'll still change stuff, and that means we should make it a minor version bump that will require us to intentionally change the gating to include this minor version. So that's why I'm going to run. Let's log out of here. Actually, we don't need that shell anymore. And we can go here to our main directory. Take a look at our commits again. Yep, rake bump minor. And that should be run from the cookbook directory, correct? So let's do that here. So we're going to 940. And regardless of the actual version, we need to make an entry in our change log. That's the wrong change log though. This change log. So we're jumping from 931 to 9.4.0. 2025-06 26. Yeah, okay. Guess that's added. Set default attributes when replication is enabled. Actually, let's make this clear. We'll set override attributes. In this case, it doesn't make sense. And another addition, set default attribute for error log. That's only a small change, a minor change, but it doesn't hurt to mention it. And that means with these changes, we can actually run the full test suite. And the full test suite will do various kinds of tests. First of all, it will test that the version of this cookbook is a version that we can release, i.e. a version that does not exist yet. And then it'll do style tests and things like that. And then it'll run the whole integration test suite with various VMs that get spun up and get tested for different use cases. And that'll take a while. So I'll start those now. And even running those will not make my CPU sweat too much, which is so nice to see. I keep rambling about my CPU temperatures, but yeah. At the moment we are 68 degrees, and that's only because it's in the process of spinning up a new VM. That'll drop down again once the VM is running properly. Okay, so what do we do while we're waiting? How about some words on stream? Haven't done that in a while. Okay, what do we need? We need another screen share window. Okay, that's not the one I wanted. Just a second. So let me create a new window here. We'll make this. Can't switch to screen share. Oh, that doesn't matter actually. We can simply use this one. How does this work in terms of music, though? I don't remember. Let's see. Words on stream. Okay. Wait. I think I deleted my... No, that's game cam, I think. I haven't run Birds on Stream in quite a while. Yep, music's off because music is going to come from the game, I think. So, let's give this a try. Yep. All right, so join us in chat, guessing the word. Yeah, we should at least get this. Oh, I'm still locked. Yeah, you need to wait until you are unlocked on the timeline. Then you can submit the next one. How are there so many four-letter words and I can't think of any? Oh, now I can think of one. But that's terrifying that there are so many. And we haven't even reached the goal yet. Ah! Failing at level 1. Well, yeah, okay. There's always a plural, isn't there? 57 of 57. That's so embarrassing. Oh dear. Let's try level 2. Maybe we get a better letter combination. No, not really. Even less options here. Regal, yeah. League would require a second E. Two more points. Here we go. Making me thirsty there. Have I actually set up trucking here? No, I haven't. Well, we advanced 2 levels now. Maybe it's just about warm-up, huh? Oops, nope. Oh, we only have one E. Okay. How are there so many four-letter words again? Uh-oh. Yeah, level 4 is not quite common failure territory, but yeah. Yeah, that's true. We could benefit from having everyone in here. Unfortunately, I can't connect anything else but Twitch at the same time. That's one of the advantages of streaming to a popular platform. You know what? I want to get the docking in there quickly. Otherwise, I'll forget it. Let me see. I'm pretty sure. Wait. Ah. The docking source wasn't in place. Now it should actually duck when I'm talking. Let's fix that here too. Okay, so I guess... All right. Our test suite is still running, but from the color change I can tell it's already gone through a few of the test suites. Every time it switches to a new test run, it changes colors. And now... Yeah, I won't send a merge request before the test suite has finished successfully, because I want to make sure that nothing is broken. Bickerfarm, what were you referring to when you said that doesn't sound like an advantage? Roping in you folks over on Knowncast? Wouldn't it be more fun if you could participate? Just want to understand. Now, let me think ahead. Oh, I didn't say Twitch only. No, not at all. I wouldn't ditch the other streaming platforms just to have everyone in the game. That doesn't make any sense. No. All right, while the test suite is running, what are my next steps are going to be? I will send a merge request. Hopefully that merge request will be approved. Looks at Moo. I'll roll that out. Then I'll see how it affects our servers in the test environment, where new cookbooks will be rolled out automatically, mostly. And, oh, not here. Okay, sorry. I'll see if the necessary changes are still in place. Then I'll remove manual external settings in the test environment. See if things are still unchanged because of the cookbook picking up the slack. And then I'll roll the change out in production. There's only one relevant machine in production at the moment, and it's only a standby database server. That should also then be unaffected by these changes. And once that's done, I think I can be confident that extending the changes to other machines will have no detrimental effect either. And that means we can upgrade all these machines to our current state of our code base. That's how it's supposed to work. So hopefully later today, once I've taken over on-call duty, I'll be able to lift at least one or even more database clusters to this latest codebase version. That is cool. What does that mean in terms of my work here? It's pretty much done for the time being. Okay. You just want to get out of on-call duty. Hoping that I'll take over the last hour from you. I wouldn't mind. Though I've been postponing my flexibility exercises and overall karate practice for too long. So I think I'll actually wrap things up and wait for the test to finish while doing some exercise outside while the weather is still good. I think there might be showers coming in later today, and so I'll let the machines do what the machines are doing at the moment. I don't have anything that I could do on this stream. There are a few things that I'd like to tackle also on the Monospace Mentor side. For example, we could soon actually do the Proxmox installation for PubMox on the stream. I've pretty much abandoned the idea to make this a community project because I think in the end it's still going to be pretty trivial, and having everyone coordinate the installation of a Proxmox server and document everything is not going to create that much practical experience, I think. I think I overestimated the practical value of having people do that as relative to the effort that it'll take to coordinate everything and to prepare everything and stuff. So things that I need to do for PubMox to become a reality.
It's a Unix system. I know this.
Hey Protoxus, thanks for the follow. The things that I need to do is set up OpenSense, so we get our own VLAN for the PubMox infrastructure, and then we'll set up Proxmox in that VLAN, and then our community, which is by the way called the server room, can access their own Proxmox instance where they can run their own workloads, do experiments, do stuff during courses and things like that. And yeah, I'm going to need a few machines for the upcoming basic Linux system administration course that I'm going to launch after my summer break. And if you want to take a look at how that looks at the moment, simply check out my website. Alright, tests are actually finished successfully. So one thing that we'll do to round out this stream is going to create a merge request. Everything is done, so let's go into LazyGit. We will actually take all these changes and say that's MySQL FreeStyle. Set more default attributes. This change sets more attributes to our defaults, especially ones related to replication. And that closes our issue ENG 191. Let's push this. And here's our merge request. Wait, can I go back? Just a second. Let's try this again. Now this time we landed in the right browser and we didn't need to authenticate. Set more default attributes. I'll simply go and copy our explanation here. Reformat this. Assign this to me. Assign this to Moo. Label in this case will simply set MySQL FreeStyle because that's the affected cookbook. Create a merge request. And that's it. It's always nice. Yes, Hyde, I do like LazyGit. It makes things a lot easier, and the nice thing is, I can actually, I've already even wired this to Tmux. So if I want to call this, and I might not even have a shell on screen, I can simply do prefix. Oh wait, now I'm making stuff confused. I can with a tmux prefix I can call a floating window in tmux with LazyGit in it every time, and that makes things a lot easier. It's not that I need the UI aspect of it. The most useful thing for me is actually the keybinds. So I can, for example, simply press P and it does a git pull, and I can press Shift P and it does a git push. And before I use the shell, and of course it's not much trouble to type in git push, but once I've already committed stuff in LazyGit, and it's also easier to mark stuff for the commit, putting files in the index while you see the changes that you made to them makes things a lot easier. And so once I'm already in LazyGit, I can as well do the commit there, and then simply press Shift P and push it, and that's it. I don't use the more sophisticated features like rebasing, because that doing that in the UI, I feel, is making things more complicated than if I do them from the shell. So interactive rebase and things like that, I find more convenient to do right from the shell. But these small things, mark things to include in the index, write a quick commit message, and push it to the central repository, that actually is sped up by LazyGit. Yeah, I was about to say that nicely rounds out this stream, because I started with a specific goal in mind, and I did reach this goal as indicated by the merge request being submitted. So yeah, that's a nice arc for today. And even though I would be motivated to go for another hour, I just don't have the programming. Maybe I should start planning for additional stuff again, and I'm just not used to that anymore. Most of the time I got stuck lately and didn't even get to my stated goal during my streams, and that's why I never had a plan B in case I was finishing early. Maybe I should return to that more optimistic outlook and have something on the back burner there that we can start doing. And that's probably mostly going to be setting up OpenSense for PubMox next. So yeah, maybe that's something that we're going to do next week. Tomorrow is Friday, which means there's probably going to be another office hour if I don't have anything family related. I remember there being a doctor's appointment for one of my kids. I'm not sure if I need to take care of that. If that's the case, I probably won't do the office hour, or I only will do it a little bit delayed, a little bit later than usual. Yeah, not sure yet. But hey, simply follow the stream or follow me on my socials, because that's the easiest way to get notified whenever I do an actual stream. And yeah, that's it for today. Hyde asks, have you played the new tool above Git? Can't remember the name. I think I can't either. Ellipsis? Is that right? No, I haven't tried it yet. Something that needs to go on the list as well. Well, folks, it's been terrible fun to do this today, and I'm very happy that I was able to do this. Oh, I just noticed that the links don't get displayed in the chat window. So if you want to follow me on socials, my main activity is over on Mastodon. I'm monospace at floss.social, and you can follow me there. My socials are on my website as well, which is monospacementor.com. And yeah, hopefully I'll be back tomorrow with my office hour, which means I'll be answering your questions. If you have any DevOps questions, Linux system administration, software engineering, IT career questions, stuff like that, I'm more than happy to try and answer them. So keep an eye out for my channels, and I might be around at about 2 o'clock Irish time or 3 o'clock Irish time, and we'll see. I'll definitely let you know. And until then, take care.